And welcome viewers to our in-depth space weather video. We'll be talking sunspots, coronal holes, fields and features, the Earth-Sun environment, magnetism, and more. So thanks for tuning in to the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Let's get to it. First, looking at the Geospace Magnetosphere movie. So here's Earth's magnetic moment from space. It looks like we just had a sudden increase in the magnetohydrodynamic pressure. Some plasma showing up there from the closest star. And you can see the way it's affecting the bow shock region. Just a brief little bit of plasma striking there. And then the pressure going back to the magnetotail, and then a second little strike. This is the last 4 hours of magnetohydrodynamic pressure in nanopascals, Earth's magnetic moment from space. The Geospace Magnetosphere movie for the past 4 hours. Next, the GOES magnetometer. There it is over the past 3 days. Fairly smooth readings here. No geomagnetic storms there showing up in the imagery. And next, Earth's magnetic moment from the ground in nanotesla. So here's ground magnetic perturbations, geospace delta B. The scale shown here is in nanotesla. So like Earth's magnetic moment from space, the Geospace Magnetosphere movie, this is generated from the Space Weather Modeling Framework. If you want to read about that, go to the ground magnetic perturbations page, click on details. You'll find a link to the Space Weather Modeling Framework. There's a lot of data that goes into that model. It's the best that we probably have worldwide. So here we see some spikes here. These look like little minor CME strikes, as we see the solar wind density and temperature and velocity all coming up at the same time there. You can see another little spike here. We saw about 30 protons per cubic centimeter in that little CME strike. Here's another little CME strike with more like 15 protons per cubic centimeter and an increase in the speed big time. What's really a story here is how low the solar wind speed is, showing up at 287 kilometers per second, one of the slowest solar wind speeds we've ever reported on the channel. 287 kilometers per second. Solar wind density also quite diffuse here at only 4.33 protons per cubic centimeter. Next, looking at the heliospheric current sheet. Earth is in a North Pole one. Here is the green North Pole current sheet right here. Here's the South Pole current sheet shown in red. And my forecast based on the magnetic data did not come true. We don't see any sunspots in the southern hemisphere coming up yet. Here's a line of sight view of the current sheet along with the solar magnetogram. So it looks to me like there is some kind of magnetic activity happening here. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Maybe there is a huge plume of plasma that is covering that up from the polarization of light that is used in order to generate these images. But in any case, don't be surprised to see a sunspot forming in the southeast. Next, our line of sight coronal hole plot. We see North Pole coronal holes here rotating in, shown in green. South Pole ones rotating out, shown in red. We can expect some minor upticks in the solar wind speed and density coming in the next couple of days here from coronal hole high-speed streams. We'll keep you posted on that as we do on the daily. Next, moving to sunspots. And we've got basically a reduction in sunspots. Here's sunspot 2971 as we forecasted it would be named. There it is. Now it's named. It's beta class. The most likely place to see major flares is from sunspot 2965. Still having portions of its rotation here being beta gamma class. So it's still a huge sunspot, even though it's been degrading here a bit over the past few days. Let's take a visual analysis of it. Here's 1700 angstroms. There's a huge filament up here. You can see actually an absorption feature. It looks kind of dark. That is a huge plasma filament. And also there's a rich chemical structure around sunspot 2946. It is a spectacular sunspot, and it's been producing all kinds of interesting imagery and flaring and so on. Perhaps the most interesting thing is the chemistry, as there is heavy metal on the surface of the sun. Otherwise, things are pretty chill regarding sunspots. The GOES X-ray flux has come down, so we see this background level getting much lower here. And let me bring up the 7-day graph. Looking at the 7-day graph, you can see the X-ray flux was almost up to a C-class background level. And now we're down into a low B-class background level. So quite a reduction here in solar activity in the past couple of days. No spikes in the proton flux, no relativistic particles caused by any recent flaring. And the only upticks in solar flaring here in the past 24 hours have been indeed minor, tiny C-class intensifications. Those didn't cause any relativistic particles to reach Earth. KP index at 1. That's a measurement of global geomagnetism, by the way. And next, let's do a solar system forecast. Here's where heavenly bodies are now. We'll advance this 1 week. Here's where things will be in a week. We'll be moving from a gibbous waning to a crescent waning in about a week. Next, a star chart. This is what's going on above my head in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. If you're up before dawn, you might see Mars and Venus and Saturn and Mercury and Jupiter all rising ahead of the sun. It's a planetary pileup. Oh my God, it's a planetary pileup, folks. We've also drawn in the yellow line here for the ecliptic, the blue line for the galactic plane. Cygnus getting pretty high in the sky. What's your favorite star? Mine's El Sol, and my second, by far, is Deneb. Make sure you follow us on Twitter if you haven't. Twitter.com/SmashAmash. Thanks to our followers over there. There's all kinds of exclusive content on Twitter. If you don't like it, well, don't sign up. Don't have an account. Okay? Don't sign up for Twitter if you don't like it. We're also on Facebook, Facebook.com/SmashAmash. You'll find all of our content over there as well. Shout out to Smash Team, our social media and IT department. Press like and subscribe if you enjoy the content on YouTube. Thanks for putting up with the pathetic censorship on the platform. Thanks to our BitChute subscribers. Look for more exclusives coming to BitChute soon. Last but not least, we'll take a look at coronal mass ejections, if there are any. The view from Lagrange Point 1, the location of the LASCO C3, the SOHO LASCO C3 coronagraph, and the Stereo A Core 2 space weather beacon, located there at Lagrange Point 5. That one's on your left. That's Stereo A. Here's the SOHO LASCO C3 on the right. It looks like we do see some coronal mass ejections happening here. They don't look like they're Earth-directed at the moment. So from this perspective, Earth would be off in this direction. This looks like it's to the south of the Earth, and from this perspective, the Earth would be behind you. So it's certainly going to miss Earth to the southwest, at least as far as the preliminary data shows. If we see anything change with that, we'll make another video about it. Thanks for tuning in to our in-depth space weather, fields and features, and so on. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. SmashAmash, signing off from the Smash News Network. Least busted name in news. May that solar wind be at your back.